Hey guys, hi everyone, good morning. Good morning, Samita, good morning, Adil, good morning, Pramod, good morning, Gaurav, Arka, Pradni, and good morning. Good morning, everyone, good morning. I hope I'm audible as well as visible. Am I? Am I audible? Am I visible? Good morning, Sumit, good morning, good morning, good morning. Good morning, Ankit, good morning, Vaibhav, good morning, everyone. So students are joining. We will wait 1 or 2 minutes for other people to join, and then accordingly we are going to start our class. Before we start our class, please make sure that you have joined this class from the website only. Reason being, attendance will be marked from there only, and link will be only active for the first 10 minutes. So probably, I'm not sure whether it will be active for 10 minutes only or for the entire day, but make sure that you join the class from that link also as well. Okay. As I said, reason being that your attendance will be marked from there only. Okay. So good morning, Manash. Good morning, Imad. Good morning, Amit. Good morning, Shobit. Good morning, Anurag. Good morning. Good morning. It's completely okay, Adil. Don't worry about it. It's variableverse.com. Variableverse.com, Govind. Over there, you have to navigate, you have to sign in, then navigate to student, and from that you simply can see an option that is join now. You have to click on that, and of course it's going to help you navigate to this YouTube channel, and you can log in it, and you can join after that. So attendance will be marked automatically. Good morning, Sumit. Good morning, good morning. I can see only 15 students here, 16 students here, which is very unfortunate. I'm not sure why students are not joining. I don't know the reason, but we have to do something related to that. As of now, we are going to start our today's class. Student join now. Yes, that's what you need to do, Sumit. Yes, and I think there's a proper link for the same as well. Let me check. Is it allowing you to navigate? In website, there's an OTP issue. Let me try to figure it out what the OTP issue is. But is join now allowing you to navigate? Because I'm not sure whether it's working or not. There might be some reasons for that, right? So if there's a blocking, make sure that you allow your website to redirect. Okay, please do that. If there's any web OTP issue, allow me some time, Adil, with respect to that. I know you have joined the class. I will mark your attendance. Okay, so it's working perfectly fine. Great. Yes, it's working. Yes, it's working. Okay. So I guess we can start our session. So let's quickly try to first of all revise what we discussed in our previous class. We are currently discussing our one of the very important extra libraries in React, and that is our React Router DOM, right? And in React Router DOM, we have already understood few of the very important concepts related to React. We have discussed what normal browser router is. We have discussed what what is called. Let me try to first of all close this, navigate this properly. Perfect. Okay. So we have discussed that what browser router is, what routes is, what route is, path is, and all of those things are. Not only that, when we talked about routing, we discussed that we have to use nav and nav link. Now, can anyone quickly tell me in the chat what's the difference between link and nav link in React Router DOM? And honestly speaking, this is probably what you are going to use in your React. This much that we have discussed. So the concepts that we are going to discuss for today's class, maybe you won't discuss them that much. You won't use them that much in your project, but mostly this. Okay. Okay. So I guess if you guys remember, the difference between link and nav link is that with nav link, whatever link is active to that particular nav bar, class active is automatically attached to it. So very good, Sumit. That is the answer. And not only that, we also discussed that when we talk about dynamic routing, how we can implement dynamic routing. We simply can put colon in front of that param, and it will make that particular param a dynamic route. After that, we also discussed that it's not just about making a param dynamic, but it also has to be that whenever we implement dynamic param, it has to display a dynamic output as well. And for that, the most important thing is we have to understand what user what common user is typing inside the URL in that dynamic param place. And for that, we understood that there is one of the very important hooks which we use called as use params. It returns simply an object in which key value pairs will be of all those keys that are dynamic in that particular route at that point of time. And based on those parameters, we can actually display dynamic output after that as well. That's what we discussed in our previous class. Now moving forward in today's class, not only that, we also discussed, if I remember, we discussed in our previous class that what is this called, CSS modules as well, right? We understood that whenever we talk about our React web application, each and every single CSS file, it does not matter how many CSS files we have, ultimately all of them are merged and compiled into one. That's why we cannot use same class names in multiple components if we want style to be different over there. We cannot have dedicated CSS files. To resolve that particular issue, we understood one of the very important solutions to that, and that was CSS modules. We understood that we can actually create CSS modules over there. While verifying OTP face issue, I will resolve that later on, Adil. As I said, your address will be marked present. Don't worry about it. So please pay close attention here and put in the WhatsApp group and ask your students, colleagues to join. Because right now there are only 22 students. This is the first time I can see in the first 10 minutes, 22 students are only there. At least I know there are 30 students who are very much active. And remember one very important point: if you are not active, whether you are part of group or not, it does not matter. You will be removed from that, right? So attendance is something that I take very seriously, because this is something that is completely free of cost. I am here. Trust me, it has costed me something. I will let you that know later on what it has costed me opening this batch, and I'm still going to continue this. Later on, please remind me. I'm going to tell you what happened in past few days, and how this batch, free batch, played a role in that. So remind me that later on in the second half, and I will definitely share that story with all of you. Okay, so we understood that in order to have a dedicated components, dedicated CSS, we will actually create proper modules over there. We will store the extension of a file as .module.css. So this is what we are going to do if we want dedicated CSS. That's where we actually closed our class. And now we are going to discuss, there are few topics remaining in React Router DOM, and after that we are going to discuss one another very important topic of React, which is called which is called a context API. Sorry, or we will discuss use reducer. Depends on what we are going to do, how much time we are left with. Good morning, Shubham. Now let's start one of the very important topics. If you look at this app.js as of now, we can clearly see that between these three routes, or maybe there might be some other cases similarly as well, between all of these routes, we can all see that they share this much in every single route. So /users is everywhere, which means we can at this point of time conclude over here that there can be a concept of parent and child routes. For example, let me give you a simple example over here. Let's suppose you are trying to create a route, and the route looks like this: localhost 3000.www.example.com, contact slash, over here maybe shop, right? Then we have contact slash, and over here we have details, maybe whatever, right? And then we have contact slash shop slash, we have over here blogs or whatever. Between all of these three routes, number one route, number two route, and number three route, do we all agree that this particular part of the route actually is nothing but same? It is common everywhere. So if it is same everywhere, or at this point of time, we can understand that it's just contact. But later on, maybe it might be a very big path as well, which will be common between multiple routes. And at this point of time, I can see only two or three routes. But we all can agree and we all can conclude from this particular three examples that the contact part of the route is common between these three. So we can all say that this particular thing is nothing but parent of these three routes. Can we say that? Do you understand what I'm trying to say? If I talk about these three routes, contact is common, so we can clearly say that this is a parent of shop, details, and shop slash blogs. On the same time, we can also say that if I want to write, we can simply say one other very important point, which is that we understood one parent, but we can also understood that this much path and this much path is same between these two routes. So this can be treated as parent to blogs. And in order to understand such scenarios, or in order to deal with such scenarios in a proper, efficient manner, there is a concept of nested routing. Remember that. We have a concept of nested routing. Let's try to understand this same example over here. Let's simply go in our VS and let's try to understand the example. And what I'm going to do is I'm simply going to go over here with the same context example. I'm going to create few more routes. So let's suppose I will simply create a route, and to this route the path will be exactly same the example that I took. So path is equals to slash contact slash shop, right? Something like this. And then the element that it's going to display is, maybe I won't create a new element because it will be waste of time. So let me simply say h1 tag, and it says I am contact shop component, like this. And let me try to close this part, and over here what I will do is I will go and implement it like this. After that, control C, control V, and in this case I'm going to go and say shop contact slash blog, something like this. And over here it's going to say contact a blog component. Now we all are completely clear that between these three routes we can clearly understand that this contact is nothing but actually a parent route, and these two are nothing but nested routes of this contact. So this one very important concept that we have in React Router DOM called as React nested routing, in which React Router DOM says that when we talk about route, this route or any other route from line number 19 to line number 27, all of these routes are self-close tags. I'm closing them immediately. It says no, create a complete component of it. So let me close it here, and after that I'm simply going to go and close my route. So let me simply go and implement it like this. So Control Shift Alt and put a tab here between these three, and over here I'm going to close my route. So what I've done is I've simply opened my contact from here, and then I have closed my contact route, component route over here, which automatically makes these two routes children routes of route, right? Good morning, Himanshi. Now, if I closely look now, since contact is parent of this as well as this, so I don't need this. So I'm simply going to remove this one, and also I'm going to not need this, so I'm going to remove this as well. Now the question is whether this will work or not, right? So for that, we will go here. Allow me a second. Okay, so we will go here, and in this website, let me try to trigger the terminal quickly. So npm start, and let's try to access these two routes which we have created. But we can clearly understand that these two routes that I actually have, they are children of these two routes, right? They are children. Of course, they are children of contact. And at this point of time, since localhost to 3000 is triggered, let's quickly wait for a second and observe the output, and we can see there's a small error that we have. Although we don't know what the error is, but let's go to inspect tool and let's go to console and see what the error is. It says that absolute route path shop nested under contact is not a valid absolute path. So there's an issue with respect to this. So let me remove this one, and over here let me remove this one as well. Maybe that might be the issue. So let's go to the output now, and of course it works. So we have our route properly working, but let's see whether I am able to go to the contacts as shop or not. So you can see right now contact component is displaying. The parent component which I actually have, it's properly getting displayed over there. But let me try to open shop. And if I click enter, it does not work. Although route is properly working. Route is a valid route, but it actually gives me the parent route only. Parent component only. If I go to another one, which is blog over there, click enter, you can clearly see that again it works. Proper component. But now it's not giving me the output that I'm actually looking at. So why is that? Let's try to figure out that. So it's blogs, not blog. Let me remove this. And let's go to contact component that we have. Over here, I will put an h1 tag to give a big component. So I'm going to say I am a parent contact component. Please pay close attention. And I'm very, 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 very sad to see that you can see only 20 students here. So there are only 20 students, 19 students, even 15 minutes have already completed, right? So that's something that should not happen. I'm not sure why is that, but I don't know. So please ask your friends that, please join quickly. So let's pay close attention over here. And at this point of time, let me close rest of the components that we have because I don't need them. So they are just creating a mess here. So let me close this, let me close this, let me close this, let me close this. Let's have only app.js. At this point of time, this is the parent that I have. And there are two routes, two child routes that I have. One is shop, another one is blog. And if I am opening this, you can clearly see that contact is properly working. It's displaying I am parent contact component. On the same time, if I display the blog over here, you can see it displays the parent component only. And in a similar way, if I go open the shop over there, it displays the parent component only, which means that there are some issues that we have. I'm not able to get the main component which I'm looking at, which is this h1 tag. I'm not able to get this h1 tag. Why is that? Let's talk about one simple analogy here. Let me give a very simple example. You guys think of a business, okay, any business, a very big brand business. You simply open its outlet, the main parent outlet somewhere, okay. Now, after 10 years, 20 years, what happens? You think that your business has grown a lot, so you decide to open outlets at multiple places. Maybe right now in Kashmir I have my main outlet. Now I am thinking of opening the same variable verse outlet at multiple places in Delhi, in Mumbai, in other places as well. Now when I will open an outlet inside Delhi, do you think I will give it some other name or I will keep the same variable verse name? What do you think? When I open an outlet of variable verse, which is a main brand, I will open I will open an outlet inside Delhi with the same name only, right? With a variable verse. Over there, it will be said that outlet of a variable verse, right? But over there, even though the location is different, even though the location is Delhi, Mumbai, or anyone else, but the components that I will sell there will be variable verse only. Yes or no? Will be variable verse only. So that is why in this particular case, even though the location is different, but they both are the children's outlets of my slash contact. Then what is the solution? Sir, I don't want to do this because it does not make any sense. If I'm able to go to shop or if I'm able to go to blog and if I'm able to get the parent component only, why do I need children component? Because ultimately I would want children, what is called content there, right? Maybe let's keep the parent, but I want children as well. For that, somehow we have to let this component know, hey, there are outlets that I have opened for you. Someone, let's suppose Shreyas decided that I am going to open an outlet inside Delhi, and over there they have mentioned variable verse, but I don't know that Shreyas has opened an outlet. Do you think that will work? Do you think his outlet is going to work? Maybe for some time, but not eventually. It's going to fade, right? Why? Because he's selling a wrong brand. But then when Shreyas texts me, hey, I have opened an outlet for you, please give me permission. Then I will give permission. That's what we have to do. We will go to the parent component over here, the parent component that we have, parent routes component, and over here inside the parent component, we will use one another component, which is we are going to tell it that, hey, please call outlet, which simply signifies that this component is actually having outlets, its own outlets. Do you understand what I'm trying to say? Now, when I do this, automatically over here, we can clearly see it says I am contact block component as well. Because I have mentioned the outlet part. I have mentioned the outlet part. And if I don't mention the outlet part, there's no, I will see only parent component. Even if I create hundreds of children over there, it does not matter. Unless and until in the parent, I will tell it, I will let it know that this component has its own outlets as well. Does it make sense? And now if I go to the output as well, and if I try to open the shop as well, you can see that I am able to see shop component as well, which means now I'm seeing children components as well. Children is also working. Give me a quick confirmation in the chat, sir. We understood what nested routing is. Another very important point, meanwhile you type something in the chat. If you look at this component, parent component, which is an contact component in this case, I wrote outlet at this place. That's exactly how the output will be. If you mention outlet at the top, of course, in the output as well, we can see now shop component at the top and contact components own content at the bottom. But that's how it's going to work. Always 100% time you need to understand, whenever you create nested children's over there of a route, this nested children simply will always and always, no matter what, they all are going to keep the content of the parent always. That's why we have to actually manage it properly. Do you see, guys, somewhere in some of the web applications, you see header attached everywhere. You go to any route, header is always there. Header is always there. That's what you can do with respect to this. That you can keep a component which will always be displayed in its all children's, but those children's own components will be also displayed. Let's understand the same example with a bigger example. Okay. Do we all agree that if I go to home, if I go to about, if I go to contact, if I go to help, or if I even go to users, all single place, even on the home route, we all can clearly understand that every single route has this particular parent. Every single route has the slash www main domain.com. That is parent of every single route. Do we all agree with that? Do we all agree with that? That when we talk about web application, of course, even every single route, doesn't matter how many routes we have, every single route is going to have local host 3000 or the main domain slash domain parent. So let's make that as a parent as well. So what I will do is I will go here and to all of these components, control shift and alt, let me select all of these routes, and over I will put a tab. And now what I will do is I will remove this, and over here I will treat this as the parent. Okay. Now we all can clearly conclude from this that all of these routes are actually parent child routes to the slash. And we can do that, of course. So let's go and let's see whether it works now or not. So if I go to this, you can clearly see every wire, doesn't matter how many routes I access, every wire I am able to see the content of parent only. So if I see, you can see content of parent only, which is I am a home component. So even though I have gone to help, contact, about, home, if I go to slash users over there, user 3, it still give me I am home component. Why? Because that's how it works. I have mentioned that there is a parent, and I have not told it that this component is expecting. Come on, guys, what's the solution here? I'm not going to tell you what happens. So tell me what's the solution. In the meantime, let me put a message. Come on, guys, what's the problem here? Very good. The problem is outlet. The problem is we have not mentioned that the parent component that we actually have, it is expecting outlets. It is going to have outlets. So allow me a second. And also tell me, where will I mention outlet? Will I write outlet in home or anywhere else? Anyone? Very good. So I will go to the home component over here, and inside this home component, I will simply call my outlet. So when I call my outlet, which is imported from React Router DOM, you can clearly see now everywhere, everything is being displayed, but there's only one small issue that we have. What is the small issue? The small issue that we actually have, although, can we not do the same for navbar? You can, even if navbar is called everywhere, then that's the problem. That's what we are going to have, Obad. And in that case, we will put navbar in the home component only, and navbar will be displayed everywhere. Even that's what I'm going to do now. Now pay close attention here. Now, if you look at this particular scenario right now, I am able to see every single component. For example, if I go to about is here. If I go to contact is here. If I go to help is here. If I go to users and user 3 is also there. But does not matter how many routes I navigate, every single route is actually resulting in the parent home component as well. Do you think this is what we would want? I will tell you why we would not want this. You go to a website. Let's go to a website called as variableverse.com. Although it might take some time to open, but let it give some time. Think of any website on the internet. Do you think that whenever you go on a website, every website has a different landing page? Like when you go to home route, it has a landing page. Like you can see, it has a landing page over here, landing page here, right? But think about this, that now when I go to my MERN, or when I go to contact, or when I go to anywhere, this contact is displayed, but it also displays a home landing page as well. It displays above or below, but it displays a home landing page with everywhere as well. So I'm going to go into contact, I'm going to go into who am I, I'm going to go into student, contact, MERN, home, or wherever I go. But every single place, it is actually displaying only one thing, which is it displays the content of MERN, it displays the content of contact, it displays the content of who am I. But also on the same time, it is displaying the landing page as well. How would that look? How would that look? Of course, not good. So that's why nested parents in this particular case fails. But we have a solution to this as well. We will simply go to the app.js. There is a solution if I remember it correctly, but let's see what the solution is. Okay. Right now, whatever changes I will make. So maybe with respect to the landing page, with respect to the home route, if I add a lorem 10, the problem with this adding content to this home page is that it results everywhere. So if I go to contact, this lorem 10 is everywhere displayed, which we would not want. We would want that, okay, there is some UI which should be shared between all of the routes. There should be some UI which should be shared between all of the routes. I'm okay with that. But when I talk about in this scenario which I have created, this home component is my main route. This home component is the landing page that I have. If you look at this, let's go to the website back and let's go to home. This is my landing page. And I cannot say that this landing page should be displayed everywhere. Yes, we can say that this navbar should be displayed everywhere. But the content that I add over there, it should be limited to home route only. Do you understand what I'm trying to say? Yes or no? Do you understand what I'm trying to say? Hey, Rushinath, hi. Do you understand what I'm trying to say? Give me a quick confirmation. Very good, right? So we would want some unique content over there. No, Govind says no. Let me try to repeat it. At this point of time, Govind and everyone who did not understood, let's quickly try to revise it very slowly. Do you understand that this home component is the parent component? When I say it's a parent component, it means it's a parent component of about, contact, it's parent component of this, and every single nested children component which I have created. That's why if I go here, whether I go to about, this home component is still there. Whether I go to contact, this home component is still there with the content of home component. If I go to help, this particular thing is still there with the help content as well. At this point of time, I think it should be very clear. Now we would want that when I am in the about component, I don't want to display the landing page. I don't want to display the home component's content. I don't want that. I want when I go to localhost 3000, the home page over here, the UI should be unique. Yes, I will keep the navbar everywhere, but this UI should not be repeated anywhere else. Do you understand what I'm trying to say? Give me a confirmation now. Give me a confirmation now. I need a confirmation. Every single student must reply. I don't want this. Right? Now to resolve this, what we will do is we will create one another component. So I will simply go here in my routing. Where is routing? Where is this routing folder? It should be here somewhere. Let me delete this build because we don't need this right now. So let me delete this. And after that in SRC, there should be components routing here. Perfect. So over here, I will create one other component. Let me name this main home.js. Okay. And over here, it's going to be RFC. After that, this is the parent that I actually have. Right? This is the parent that I actually have. And in a main home, I'm simply going to say H1 and it's going to say simply for Rashid like this. Okay. After that, this main home is the component which I will actually call everywhere. So what am I doing? the UI which I want to share everywhere, it is part of main home.js. And right now there's no home component which is anywhere. I have removed the home component. But home component I know is the main UI which should be displayed in the main web page, which should be displayed on localhost slash, which should be displayed on www.adfer.com. But this main home, what is this? This component is going to represent that content which I want to share everywhere, which I want to share and with about route, help route, and everywhere. But now, what am I going to do with this home? First of all, since this is no longer the main parent, I'm going to remove the outlet from this component because I don't need this. I'm going to remove it from here as well. Okay, and then I'm going to go in main home and I'm going to simply call my outlet this place. Done. Sir, you have not done anything else. You have exactly done the same thing. Wait. Dalbir, wait. So I will go here and I will simply go, and right now you can see Adfar Rashid main home component is being shared everywhere. But now the component which I actually want to share on my landing page so that that won't be shared anywhere else, for that I will create a very special route. I will create a route, and to this I will pass the element, and that element is going to be my the component which I want to share, which I don't want to share with anyone else. I want to treat this route as the main homepage route. For this, I will simply add an argument called as index. That's it. I'm going to add an index argument today. Let's see how this works. So now I will go here, and to this home component, I can see I am home component. Do you see this I am home component being shared anywhere else? Do you see this home component being shared anywhere else? No. But this is unique. The changes now that I will make to home component, all of those changes will be displayed only on the slash route, because I have added a route as an index over there. So if you go to app.js, this route, it means it is the index route, home route of the main local parent at that point of time. So this is the parent index route for this parent. Now in main home, of course, I won't put the Adfar Rashid. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put that particular content which I want to share with everywhere, with every single component. Now, do we have any component which I want to share with everyone, every single children that we have in this case? Do we have any such component, guys? Do we have any such component? Yes, we have. We have a navbar, right, which we want to share. So all the components which I actually want to share with the rest of the children's, please put that here. So I will simply call my navbar here. And also now I'm going to remove the navbar from here because it's no longer required here. So I'm going to remove it. And now every single place navbar is being shared. And every single component has its own content that we have. Home has its own content. This about has its own component. This contact has its own content. This help has its own content. But we have a component treated as the main parent as well. I hope you have completely understood the concept. Am I clear? Give me a quick confirmation. Give me a quick confirmation. You can do that. It depends on your idea, like what is it that you actually want. And a quick confirmation from everyone. I can see few yeses in the chat. Perfect. Great. Okay. Moving a little bit forward. There is, at this point of time, if you look at this whole web application which we have created, a small web application, if we have not created any web application, we are just learning React Router DOM, right? But of course, I can promise you one thing: we will create very good web applications, very good modern web applications where real implementation will be done. But for that, I don't think we can continue with 30 students only, 25 students only, right? So that's something that we have to take care. If you take care of that, I can promise you, I will show you big projects in Modern, big projects. So, okay. Now, at this point of time, if you look at this web application, we all can conclude one point, that we have a single page web application with multiple routes, and those routes are loading their own components, mounting their own components without refreshing the page. Single page web application. Done. But there's one still small problem that we actually have. which is, if I go to my, let's suppose this variableverse.com, you can see this variableverse.com. This is an anchor tag. This is an anchor tag. This is anchor tag. This is anchor tag. This is anchor tag. But do you see everywhere anchor tags that allow you to navigate from one route to another route? No. But you see your actions. Somewhere your actions are also, events are also navigating you from one route to another route. Maybe you will have a, for example, a website that's called amazon.in. So if I go to amazon.in, over there, these are anchor tags maybe. But if I drag a little bit down over there, if I not here, let me find a button. So let's go to mobile phones, and over here, if I drag down, you can clearly see at the bottom, as soon as I click on see all results, we will get buttons. These are images. When I click on this image, something will happen. It will navigate to me a different route. Do you understand what I'm trying to say? And until now, we have seen navlink component over there, and this navlink component is allowing me to navigate from one route to another route. But behind the scenes, it's an anchor tag only, right? So now our very important task, and this is one of the most important things inside React Router DOM. Why? Because we use it very often. Whenever you create a modern web application, this web concept you use always, which is we have to somehow find a way so that we can navigate from one route to another route, not based on the anchor tags HTTP, but based on an event, based on a function call. And please make sure that you like this video right now if you have not already done that. Okay. So for that, let's go to my, let's suppose any component, who cares? I will go to my, let's say, about component. And inside this about component, let me go and let me add an h1 tag. It says I am a about component. And after this, I will have also maybe a button, because buttons support events properly and they give us a feel that we are performing events. And over, I will simply say go to, let's say, contact. Now, do you think this is an anchor tag? No, it's not an anchor tag. It's not a link or component of React Router DOM or nav link. So, of course, on this, I am supposed to implement an on click. When I click on this, go to the contact component, change the route, change the navigate to that. And for that, inside React Router DOM, we use a very important hook, and that hook is called a use navigate. So I will go and I will simply say constant navigate is equals to, and I'm going to simply say use navigate hook. And if you see, this use navigate hook is also imported from React Router DOM. What is it imported from? React Router DOM. Now, what does this hook do? It simply returns, allows, gives us a function in back, and I will simply invoke this navigate variable everywhere and pass argument to it. That will be a path, and it will navigate to that. Simply, I will go to this button and I will simply say on click. On this on click, please call a function called as handle click. And let me simply go here, Control C, and go here. So I will define a function which will simply say handle click like this, like this, like this, like this, like this. And over here, I will simply say navigate. Navigate to what? Slash contact. That's simple. That's how simple it is. So we use a hook called as use navigate. It allows me to navigate to any place, any place that we have. So now if I go here and I will simply go to my output, which is this. And now in the about component, we have a button. And on this button, I have registered an event with the event handler. So if I click on this, you can simply say it navigates me to contact. Similarly, let's go to contact over there. And over here, I will simply have a button. And on this button, when I click, it will call a hook called as navigate. So constant navigate is equals to use navigate that we actually have. Done. And after that, I will simply tell this to go to home, like this, maybe go to home. And after that, I'm simply going to say on click. And on this on click, I will simply tell it to call a function directly. And on that, please navigate. Navigate to what? Navigate to slash, navigate to slash, because that's the home route. And if I go to the output that we have, now go to home, it will go to home. So we have found a way that with the help of which we can actually implement navigation in a front-end web application by implementing the events. Sometimes you see that actually, even let me give a real example of it. Like when I click on this, it's a button. It's not an anchor tag, honestly speaking. This sign in is a button. So when I click on this, it navigates to sign in, which means that I have actually told it, hey, on click, do this, navigate to this. Now, then I have implemented, I will add email address here, I will add password here. Then after that, I have told it based on the condition. Hey, if the email is correct, if the password is correct, then in that case, navigate to MERN or navigate to student. If it is not correct, if email is not correct, if password is not correct, in that particular case, navigate to something else. So navigate plays the one of the huge roles in order to implement your complete MERN web application later on. Because see, when we talk about MERN web application, there are two types of routing. One is called server-side routing. Another one is called client-side routing. And client-side routing will deal with displaying the components at your routes. And for that, we have a library called as React Router DOM. So client-side routing को implement करने के लिए, in order to implement client-side routing, we have React Router DOM. And navigate plays one of the very important roles. Am I clear? Am I clear? Give me a quick confirmation. Done. Also, one other very important point. Let me go to my main home component. Over here, let me create a button. So let's say button, and this says bag. Okay. And on this, I will simply call the same navigate hook. So navigate is equals to use navigate. And over here, I will simply tell it, hey, whenever anyone clicks on you at that point of time, please navigate. Navigate to where? Because that's an anchor tag. Anchor tag simply deals with clicking on that. This use navigate is a function. You can call it on any event, on click, on mouse move, on reload, or on anywhere. It's an event header. You can put it in a function. Can you put anchor tag in a function? Can you put anchor tag over here? Of course not. Right? They do have both different functionalities. Right? I hope that makes sense. So navigate to what? Navigate to, it can receive a negative number as well as an argument. So I will simply go put -1 over here. Now, what does -1 mean? And I know that I have implemented this button on main home, which means it will be implemented everywhere. So if I allow me a second. So over there, we have a button called as back. So let me go to home, about, contact, help, about, and now I'm at home. So previously it was about. So when I click on back, it will go to about. When I click on back, it will go to help. When I click on back, it will go to contact. So this -1 is actually tracking the previous path that we actually have. Okay. So this is something that's very interesting, that this navigate receives also -1 as an argument. Or you can pass even -2 as well. So I can simply go pass -2 as well. So if I go -1, -2, let me refresh the page. Over here, we simply are going to, at this point of, let me go to home. Let me go to about. And for this, we know -2 was contact. So when I click on this, it will go to contact. So that's what -2 means. Okay. Although we will never create back buttons in our web application. Why? Because every browser has it on its own. So we won't create these back buttons or forward buttons. Why would we do that? Why? Because it's already part of the browser, right? So it's everywhere. So when we use arrow function in on click, it directly accesses the state. What does that mean? Elaborate that, rephrase that, Ubad. Okay. So moving forward, with this, we have understood navigate as well. Another very important point. There is similar to use navigate, exactly similar to use navigate. We have a navigate component as well. Let's suppose I will simply go define a variable here, and variable A is equals to true, let's suppose, or state. Let's have state as well. But at this point of time, let me have true. And over here, I will simply go and create a route like this. Okay. To this, I will define a path. And path is /login. Let's suppose /login. Now I want, or instead of this login, I will simply say profile. Let's suppose path is profile. Now I would want that if A is true, then navigate to profile component or navigate to login component. You see that if you are not logged in, will you be able to access profile? No, you won't be able to access profile in real web applications, right? Even that's the same logic that I've implemented here. If you go here, since I'm right now logged in, if I try to sign out, I will sign out. Now, when I sign out, why is it taking this much of time? It should not take this much of time. So if I go to students, so it means sign out button is not working. I think maybe it is. So when I click on sign out, okay, it's working. So when I click on sign up or sign out over there, why is it not allowing me student? Why is it asking me to sign in? Which means I have implemented conditions. So Ubaid says I'm a little bit confused between calling a function name in onClick or using arrow function in onClick. When I use an arrow function in onClick, or this is simply like there is no specific meaning to this. And instead of this, Ubaid, I can directly put a function like this as well. It's a anonymous function. So I can do this as well. Okay. Number one point. Number two is sometimes we don't want to put functions there. So that's why I call it late. I define it above and call it there. So I don't think there should be any problems with that. But if you have any other specific issues, you let me know. I will definitely explain that. Okay, don't worry about it. So I hope it is nothing to do with arrow functions. It is an anonymous functions. However you want to put it, you can do that. Obad, okay? Please understand that. Okay, let's go back. So I was talking about that. We simply have a route called this profile. But this profile route, I would want it that based on a condition, do something. Right? And let's do that. So let's simply go and I will simply pass an element over there. And to this element, I will simply pass a function. Sorry, function, I will pass a condition. I will say if A is true. If A is true. At that point of time, I will call a component of my React router DOM, which is navigate. Navigate to what? Navigate to a component which is, let's suppose, contact. Like this. Otherwise, go there and where is this component ending here? So otherwise, go there and navigate to. Maybe I might write some syntax wrong because I'm using this navigate component after a long time. So in that case, please find the syntax on the internet. But I think I have corrected it. So navigate to, not this one. I don't know why this is here. So let me close this. So let me close this. Let me close this. So now, if A is true, navigate to, where is this getting closed? This navigate component is being closed here, and then this navigate component is being closed here, and then this is it. Someone please check the syntax of navigate component. Someone please check the syntax of navigate component. But this is probably, let me do that. Let me do that. So navigate component syntax. Navigate component in React router DOM. So we have navigate component here. I needed this. So we have navigate to /login. Exactly, that's what I did. Okay, sorry. My mistake. So basically, it's not going to navigate, my mistake. It's not going to navigate to a component, but a path. So in this case, I will simply go and tell it to navigate to. Navigate to what? Navigate to. To what? To /about. Okay. Otherwise, go there and navigate to. So navigate to what? Navigate to. In this case, it's going to navigate to simply /contact like this. And let me close this like this. Done. Perfectly fine. So we have, it receives an argument, which it receives a path. It does not receive a component as an argument. So what I'm doing is I'm simply saying that when you access a route profile and even you check the syntax, same syntax as well, it says navigate to this. Yes, we can implement some more arguments to it as well, although there's no concrete syntax here. So let me see if we have a concrete syntax anywhere. So nowhere. So let me try to find any other, what is this called? So let's see if there is any other. Yes. So we have link. It's already done. So we have navigate component called anywhere. So over here, we don't have a navigate. We have a navigate on or state change. Ignore that. So perfect. I don't think there's any syntax, but let's see if it works. So in the meantime, if there's any other syntax, please let me know. So let's go to /profile. So if I go to /profile here, profile, let's hope it works. Why am I writing wrong spelling every time? So if I go to /profile, perfect, it works. Right? So you can see that since my A actually is true. So since A is true, it navigates to about. So automatically you can see about component over here. So the small component, this we use in scenarios whenever we have to display conditional component, conditional routing, conditional navigation over there. That if that is true, display this route, otherwise display that route. And this is what we usually do as well. We make sure that even in a lot of websites, you see that you are not able to access profile. If you go to profile, if you are not logged in, you will navigate it, you will redirect it to your what is called login. Otherwise, you will be navigated to the profile only. So with this, we have completed our React router DOM. Do we have any questions in React router DOM? Do we have any questions? Yes or no? Give me a quick confirmation. So we have almost completed 80% of concepts. Yes, there is one hook, one another hook inside React router DOM, which I would want you to, what is this called? Discuss on your own. I will discuss it later on when we will discuss modern web applications, which is called search params. There's a hook that we have, and it's called use search params. Write it down. I will also teach you this, but later on, not in React, even when we create full stack modern web application, at that point of time, we will understand what params are, what queries are. So over there, we are going to discuss this hook called use search params. But please make sure that you remember it on your own as well. You discuss it on your own as well, and you try to do a little bit practice around it. And if there's any question, you let me know. Okay, moving a little bit forward. Now I am about to start one of the most important concepts inside React. Another very important concept. I will tell you how it is too much asked in interviews and why it is used also too much inside our React, which is called context API. Okay, context API. But before I discuss context API, there were a few doubts related to our what is this called? Assignment. So we were not able to understand Pomodoro assignment. What was that? So let me quickly explain you. You have time. So tomorrow I will show you this solution of this, I guess, because I will close the deadline for today, and tomorrow I'm going to show you the solution for the same. So let me try to find the Google Classroom and explain you what this assignment is actually about, and then you attempt it. And later on in our class, maybe tomorrow or another next week, we are going to understand this. So where we have multiple use cases, we use context API of our efficiency management. Even it's not about that as well. There are a lot of other issues, a lot of other functionalities that it has. I will give a real life example. Don't worry about it. So over here we have this concept, this assignment, which is Pomodoro project. Okay, and how do I see its instructions? So I think these are the instructions. Perfect. Okay. So I have a screenshot. So let's try to understand what this screenshot is actually about. Look at this project. There's a timer. And if you go to instructions, these instructions will say you the same thing that I will explain you right now. Right now, by default, when you go on this web page, this is initially what the output should look like. Yes, you can implement your own style. It's completely up to you. But even if you don't want to implement any style, it's okay. Now, look at this web application. By default, whenever anyone goes to this website, by default, this is the time that should be there. Okay. Then, by default, it should say work time. By default, this button should be enabled. These two should be disabled by default. And by default, the values of these two input fields should be 25 and 5, and button should say set. So this is the initial states. Now you can define multiple states for this web application, because when we talk about these input fields, this and this, these can be two states, right? We can have to implement on change on it. We have to implement value attribute on it, and we can create controlled component this particular input field. So two states for this. Or you can create only one for the same as well. But worst case is two states. Another thing is this 25:00. What is it? It is 25-minute timer. If you don't click on set, if you directly click on start, this timer will start. So it will go like 24:59, then 24:58, then 24:57, and so on and so forth. The timer is going to decrease. So you have to find a way. You have to find a way. You can use Chat GPT properly. There's nothing wrong with that initially. Nothing, absolutely nothing wrong. As long as you are understanding the code and you are creating solutions out of it, but properly by understanding it. So over there, you have to understand how this format will be displayed here, first of all, which means you have to convert this format. You have to make this format. It's not like you will define a state and you will say state A is equals to 25 colon 00. No, that's not how it's going to work. Definitely not. So you have to make sure that how this format will be displayed. Then when you click on start, you have to make sure that this timer will change 1 second every single time. 1 second every single time. Let me give you a hint how you can create this. Okay. You can use date, you can use any way, it's completely up to you. Let me give you a hint. This 2500 is simply 25 minutes. Right? Yes or no? Right. Simply convert it into proper seconds. How many seconds we have? So allow me a second. I think there should be a noise from my side. Is there any noise? Is there any noise, guys, from my side? There's some, yes, other noise coming. Perfect. Now it should be sorted out. Okay. Now see, one of the approaches would be that you will simply convert this into seconds. Now what is 25 into 60? It is, I guess, 1500, maybe not, right? So let's suppose it's 1500. So you will define a state in which you will store 1500 seconds. Okay. Then you will convert this into this particular format. So you are not going to store 25 colon in any state. Definitely not. That's not the solution. Even you won't be able to do that. Okay. Simply convert this into seconds. Convert it. Then convert this into minutes, colon seconds. Now, how do we convert this into minutes? Simply divide 60 with it, you will get minutes time. Then put a colon over here with template literals. Then how do we get seconds out of it? Let's suppose I have 1498. How do we get seconds? Simply divide by 16, whatever the remainder is at that point of time, that is the seconds. So remainder will be seconds. So you got this format. You got this format. So initially you will define 1500, convert, implement a function on it in h1 tag. Since it's an h1 tag, implement a function that is going to convert this 1500 into a format that looks like this: minutes, colon, seconds. Minutes will be simply 1500 divided by 16. Integer of it will be the minutes. Seconds will be simply divide 60 with it, and whatever the remainder at that point of time is, it's going to be the seconds. And you got this format. Put colon in front of it, it's going to be the format. But in the output, it will be like this: 25 colon 00. Now the question is, sir, when I click on start, how is it going to make sure that is 25, then it will be made 24:59, 24:58, 24:57. You don't have to tell it to change this time. No. You have to tell it decrease this seconds by -1 every second. So can you set interval for this, set timeout for this, use effect for this, whatever you want to use, you can do that. So you don't have to change, you don't have to tell it, hey, please make target is 25, because this is not your state. It is just a format of time that you are displaying in H1 tag. Simply you have 1500 seconds. You are simply going to tell it decrease 1 every second to this. Done. And once, let's suppose when the first second will go, let's suppose initially when it was 1500. So when it was 1500 by default, at that point of time, sorry, this was 1500. At that point of time, time was 25. And you have implemented a format which is minutes into seconds like this. Done. After that, you have clicked on start. Now, when start is clicked, a function is called which makes sure every single time -1 is decreased over here. Or you will make sure that it will happen in the use effect hook. That's what you can do as well. And let's suppose -1 is changed at 1 second. So 1499. Now, when it is 1499, since in H1, this 1499 is already displayed in minutes, colon, seconds. So don't you think it will be 24 colon 59? When another second will happen, it will be 1498. Since format is already created, it will be displayed like 2458. Do you understand what I'm trying to say? So every single time when -1, -1, -1, -1 happens, this is going to be decreased like this. So that's what is going to happen. Am I clear? Do you understand how this work time will be created? Give me a quick confirmation in the chat. Understood this part? But there are some key points that you need to keep in your mind. Once, let's suppose my time is 59. seconds. So if my time is 59 seconds, I will tell you that, Manash. Allow me a second. If your time is 59 seconds, how many minutes it is? It is 0 minutes and 59 seconds. But at that point of time, should this be displayed in the output? No, it should be like this: 0, 0, colon 59. Similarly, let's suppose time is 62 seconds. It means it is 1 minute. It should be displayed like this: 0, 1, 0, 2. But according to the format that you will implement, it will be displayed like this: 0, 1, 2, which should not happen. So you have to keep these things in mind. When the reminder is less than 10, at that point of time, attach 0 in front of it. When the reminder of minutes is less than 10, at that point of time, attach 0 to it. So these are few of the conditions that you have to keep in mind. And I think you will be able to figure it out on your own as well. That's not a big deal because that's pure JavaScript. Okay. Moving a little bit forward. Now let's suppose you have clicked on start and you are simply going to decrease this continuously. So it's decreasing, 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 decreasing. And there will be time when the time will go 0, 0, 0, 0. Now, when time goes 0, 0, colon 0, 0, at that point of time, it should give an alert. Alert, your work time is concluded or your work time is done. Now, break time starts. And break time is this. And what is that? That's 5 minutes, which is 605 into 6, 300. What's 5 into 6? 30, right? 300 seconds. So over here, it should be displayed. This work should be made break, and automatically this time should be made 0, 5, 0, 0, 0. And this timer should then go 4:59 like this. And once this timer ends, again, break time is ended, work time is started. Work time 25 minutes should start, and so on and so forth. Same process should go continuously throughout this project over here. Also, one very important point which you need to keep in your mind: when you click on start, then after that stop makes sense, reset makes sense. These two buttons should be enabled. When you click on start, start should be disabled then. So you have to understand these functionalities as well. Does it make sense? So this is your project, very simple project, right? But it uses logic. There's a good amount of logic that is there. That's why I've implemented it. This is not a project that you will put on resume. It's for you so that you can actually practice your JavaScript. You can practice your states. You can practice your use effect. There's a very important usage of states and use effect in this particular project. So try to implement it. Try to understand. Similarly, you created 1500 seconds for work time. You will create 300 seconds initial state for break time. So there are two states for that. Lots, not lots. There are only small amounts of JavaScript implemented on this. Now Manash says, how can I access this assignment? Manash, we have a Google Classroom. I hope you are part of our React batch group, right? In React batch group, there is in description to the WhatsApp group over there's a Google Classroom link mentioned. So open that Google Classroom link, open that, and there are two assignments that I have launched until now to React, and submit it. If you don't, you won't be eligible for the projects. Okay, please do that. So with this, I hope you have understood what the project and assignment is. Time change is simply store seconds and convert that seconds into minutes and seconds time, and implement it in an H1 tag via a format. You can call a function however you want. Okay. So I guess we are good. So let's take a break of 10 minutes now. After 10 minutes, we are going to resume and understand the most important concept in React, not just from the perspective of interviews. If you create modern web application, like I have created few days back, variable verse, I have implemented too much of context API in it. And trust me, in this web application variableverse.com, if I remove context API, it will not work. It will not work. There's even one component inside this whole web application variableverse.com, which this whole web application depends on context API. The remembrance of user. There are two concepts: authentication, authorization. Both of them depend on the context API that we have. So please and please make sure you stay in the class. Do not leave the class. Stay here in this 10 minutes of break. And after that, we are going to start, as I said, one of the most important topics in React for interviews as well as for React, which is our context API. So do not leave the class. Thank you so much, guys. Bye, everyone. See you in the after 10 minutes. Bye. Do not leave. Stay here in the break as well. Bye. Hey guys, hi everyone, welcome back. Hello, hi, hello, hi everyone. Welcome back, welcome back. I hope I'm audible as well as visible. Am I? Am I? I think I should be right. Perfect. Hello guys, hello, hi. So let's start the one of the most important topics of React, and that is context API. But I'm expecting few more students to join. So let's start. Okay, let's start. Okay, let's first of all understand what do we mean by context API and why do we need context API in the first place. Okay, and there is something that you need to understand related to context API. It's about data transfer. Okay, data transfer within the components that we have. Before we start context API, you guys must remember there's one very important property which we discussed on the day one of React, which is one-way data binding. And we will always have one-way data binding only. Yes, there's one concept that we can transfer data from child to parent, but that is state uplifting. We don't do that normally that much. But what we have is we have to understand the fundamental of React is the basic concept of React is that we are going to have one-way data binding only. But the doubt that you might ask, sir, we already did one-way data binding. Did we? Yes, we did. And what is the concept for that we actually used, guys? That when we implemented one-way data binding in second or third class, I'm not sure the number, but we already did implement the data binding. If you remember, what was the concept that we used for that? The concept was very good props. And let's suppose I have a folder structure that somehow looks like this. And of course, this is possibility that my folder structure can, of course, look like this as well, right? Because it can be a very big application. There are 5 to 10 components which I have created. And one of the possibilities of my folder structure in my React is like this as well. And this component is my main parent component. It's called app.js. Just component 1, component 2, component 3, component 4, and so on and so forth. I will use the same example that I actually explained at that point of time as well, which was that let's suppose we are building an e-commerce website. Let's suppose we are building a shopping website, Amazon.com, something like that. And this particular branch deals with men clothing. This branch deals with women clothing, let's suppose. Okay. Now, inside this, maybe this is the component where I am selling pants. This is the component also where I am selling pants. And both of them are from the same brand or whatever. But we have launched an offer of 50% off. So I have created a data point over here, and that data point is that I want to give somehow the what is this called the discount on the pants in this component as 50% off. So what will I do? I will simply go and mention, create the data point, adjust the data point, whether it's a state or whether it's a normal data or whatever it is, 50% off. That is the discount that I actually have. Now, since same component is this as well, only the virgin exchange uses women clothing in this case. I want to use the same discount, exactly same. The formula that I have implemented in data point, the logic that I've implemented in this, so that this 50% will be implemented on all the clothing that we have inside this. I've already done that. Now, since I have the same pant structure over here as well, same type of components over as well, same structure. So do you think I will have to write the same problem, same formulas again? Technically, I should not do that, right? So I would simply say that, okay, I already have a discount in another branch somewhere else. So why don't I call it here? So my intention is that same discount which I actually have here, I want to somehow use the same discount over here. But can we do that? No, we cannot, right? We cannot. Why? Because it simply means that we are trying to access a data point from here to here directly, which is absolutely not possible. We cannot transfer data from one component to another component if it's not children of it. If it is a children of it, then in that case we can do it, transfer it using props or anywhere else, but we cannot directly transfer. So this is absolutely not possible. Now the solution is that we will declare this particular data point in its common parent. So of course, this branch and this branch has a common parent, which is app.js. So I will define this, all the formulas over here of discount.js over here. And from here, now I want to transfer it, and I can simply transfer it using props now. So from here to here, then here to here, then here to here. Similarly, from here to here, then here to here, then here to here, then here to here, over here. So props has resolved the problem. Now I am able to share the same data point to multiple components. But the problem in this case is that my discount was supposed to be accessed here only and here only. But this got access of the discount as well. This got access of the discount as well. This got access of the discount as well. This as well, this as well. I did not want it to expose my discount to these many components. And this concept of transferring same prop from one component to another, this concept, if you remember, is called a prop drilling, right? So we call this concept as prop drilling. And this is one of the very important drawbacks that we have in React, that we would not want to transfer the same data point in multiple components. Now there's a solution, that we will still have it in the common parent only, or we will have it separately as well, but does not matter why we will have it. But we can share it from that component to that component directly now. And for that, we use a concept of context API. But we have to make sure, that this is the children of that context. So it is not like I can transfer it from here to here, defining context. No, I have to define a context, give access of this app.js to the context that we have, that I am defining, and then I can share it to any children, but directly, without involving the middle children's in between. So I am removing the middleman with it, then transferring the data from here to here directly. That's what I'm doing. I hope this makes sense. Am I clear? Do you understand why we use context API? I hope that makes sense. So can we say, even though we are able to transfer data from here to this component directly, but still it is one-way data binding only? Can we say it's still one-way data binding? Of course we can. Because why? It's parent to children still. It has to be parent. Unless until you don't do that, it's not going to work. So it's always going to be like that only. Moving forward, whenever we implement context API, there are 5 steps that you need to remember. I always say 5 steps. Some say 3 steps, but I say 5 steps. Number 1, whenever number 2, number 3, number 4, and number 5. Number 1 is we create a context. Create the context using the create context method. So there's a method in React which is called a create context. Create context of the data point which you want to share. Create it. Then we simply, second and third, they can be reversed with each other. Then we use a provider method, with help of which we provide the context values to the components which we want to share. So we have to provide a provider. So on the same context which we created, on the same context, we have to implement a provider so that the values that we want to share to that component or to that branch, we can do that. Third thing is we have to export the context. If you do not export the context, it cannot work. We have to export the context. One of the very important things. Of course, since we are going to export it now, wherever we want to use it, we have to import it there. So that's 5th thing. So import the context that we have. Then later on, since I have provided the values that I want to share from one branch to another branch, I must consume it. So we implement a consumer as well, so that those values inside that particular web application can be accessed. I hope this makes sense. These are the 5 steps. Always and always, you are not going to get out of these 5 steps. These 5 steps you have to repeat every single time, no matter what. Let's try to implement the context API which we have. Okay. And for this, I will go and I will simply, let me remove all of these components now, because routing is done. Although there are 5 things which we will discuss related to routing later on. So I have a question. Some libraries, so that are, even if you use directly over there, but behind the scenes, they use providers, right? They are just giving you the blueprint of it. That's it, right? So eventually all of things are working in the same way. The only thing is they put a covering on it. They wrap it in somewhere else. Is there a no, there's no performance issue. There are performance issues even normally as well, even if we don't transfer props. And there are proper parameters that we take to resolve those performance issues, efficiencies later on, Ramesh. Okay. Let's go here and let me define a folder. And this folder name is going to be context like this. Let me define few of the components over here. So I will go define my component1.js, compo1.js. Then I'm going to define one other component. Another one is compo2.js. Number three is that we have here is component3.js. So compo3.js. Done. And let me try to rename this. It is JS. Pay close attention, okay? So this is going to be RFC. This is going to be RFC functional component, React functional component with the export directly and RFC. Done. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to comp1 and over here, I'm going to simply say h1 tag, I am a compo1. After that, I'm going to call my compo2 over here. Done. In my compo2, I will go here and I will define h1 that says I am a compo3, and then inside this I'm going to call my compo3. Done. And finally in my compo3 I'm going to go and put my h1. It's going to say I am compo3. Now finally this compo1, let me remove all of this code from app.js, and over here in this I'm going to add a comment which is react router DOM code, and let me paste it here. Okay. Now in this app.js, I'm going to simply go and call my h1. That's going to say I am app component. And in this h1, in this app component, I'm going to call my compo1. So do we all agree that app.js is the main parent, then comp1, then comp2, then comp3? Because that's the structure that we have implemented. So why don't we use transfer data from child to parent? Because we don't have that option, right? That's how it's built. Although, as I said, there's a concept called a state uplifting. You can do that, but we don't usually do that. So can we say that there's a parent app.js to which we have comp1 as children, then grandchildren, comp2, then comp3. So I have created a branch, a simple branch over there. Now let's see a very simple and very basic example here. Very basic example. And then I will increase the level of context API. Let's suppose I want to share my first name to any component. Okay. So I will go and I will simply define first name is equals to, and I'm simply going to say create context. So I have imported a method of React which is context, and I'm going to pass, I can pass one argument to it, default value, initial value which it can contain. So I can do that, or I can simply pass null, completely up to me. As of now, I'm not going to pass anything because, as I said, we'll go step by step. Can we use forward ref? Of course not. Forward ref is not for transferring. Forward ref is for exposing the DOM from parent to child, or from child to parent, sorry. Right? So it's not for transferring data. It's DOM node that we are trying to expose. Ignore that. Now, third step is we have to export this. So I'm going to export my first name. So it's exported as well. Now, second step is over here, I will, on the first name, the context I have created, on this, I am going to implement a method called as provider. Now, when I call this provider over there, I am going to make it a complete component, and in between, I am going to paste my that branch where I want this context to be exposed. So we just comp1 in this case. So I will simply go here and paste it like this. So what have I done here? I have simply told it that the first name context API, which I actually have, I am exposing this context API to comp1. But of course, comp1 has comp2, comp2 has comp3, comp3 can have more. So I am exposing this whole context API to the entire thing that we have. Number one point, very important point. If I do not wrap the branch inside the provider, my context won't be exposed. So we have to wrap our children as the wrap our component as the children of the provider which we have, so that I can access the data later on. But what is the data point? Like first name is a context. I have not told it what the first name values are. For that, to the provider, we provide an argument which is value. And over here, I'm going to pass value as of now is going to be Adfar. That's my first name. So my provider receives an argument which is called a value, and in front of this value, the values which we want to transfer. As of now, I'm transferring first name only, but later on, what I will do is I will increase the level, I will increase the efficiency, I will transfer states, I will transfer objects, I will transfer multiple things over here. Now, moving forward. Now the question is simple question, simple, very simple question. Where can I access this context API? Can I access this context API in component1.js, which is not the part of compo1 branch? No, I cannot. So the branch that is placed as a children of the provider, only that branch can have access of the context API, which I have. So for that, what I will do is I can go to my comp3. If I want to transfer the data directly, what I will do? I will access it as a prop. Then from here, I will transfer it there as a prop. Then from here, here. So prop drilling, which I'm trying to avoid at this point of time. The fourth step is import. So let me go here and import my first name. So let me simply import the first name that I have. What is the first name from app? /app. Import as well. But how do we consume this? Like, what if I will simply that h1 tag, I will simply say I am, and then over there, I'm simply going to say first name. Do you think this is how we consume our context API? Maybe, maybe not, but let's see that. So let me go here and it says objects are not valid as a React child. So we can conclude one point here, that the context which I created, it's an object. It's an object. Number one thing. Let's not access it in an h1 tag, but let's try to console it to see what it is. So I'm simply going to say console, and I'm going to say first name here. And let me go to the output like this, and in the inspect, in the console, if I go, we can clearly see there is an object that we actually have. And this object contains a lot of things. It contains a type of symbol or operator, a symbol data type, which is react.context. But there's a current value, which is adfar. The current value to undefined, so on and so forth. You have to ignore that. But we can understand the context API, the create context method returns an object. So it makes this particular thing an object when we create context. That's one thing. Now, how do we consume it? There are multiple ways. The easiest way is we will use context hook. The easiest way, and that's what even we will use always 100% time. But I will show you a way which I used to use when I used to learn context API at my point of time. Okay, when I was young. Now I'm old. So over here on the same first name, I am going to use consumer. Even I don't know whether it still works or not, but let's see whether it works or not. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to simply use a consumer method on first name, and you don't have to remember it. Even I will remove it if you want me, because you are not going to use it. You're going to only use context hook. But the approach, the method is I have to use consumer method, and there is a consumer method. The use context came the what is called the replacement of it to make it very easy, because it creates a callback hell. Okay, even I don't remember the syntax right now of consumer as well, but let's try out. So it receives in between a children as an argument, which is going to be callback function, and over here I will simply tell it to return what an h1 tag, let's suppose. And this function that I'm passing, not callback function, sorry, this receives a function as an in between. This consumer, I have to place a function in between. And over here, I will pass an argument, whatever. I will pass X, or I will pass F name. And then in this h1 tag, I'm simply going to say I am, it's going to be F name. I am F name. So let's see whether I have passed the adfar or not. Maybe, maybe not. Who knows, right? So let's go here and let's check. It says I am adfar. So this is the first way of transferring and consuming a context from one component to another component, but it must be a branch and use a consumer method. But you can see the syntax is very weird, right? The syntax is a little bit difficult. Make sure you like the video right now if you have not already, okay? So this syntax is something that we are not comfortable around. Are we? No. You will say, no, sir, I am. Maybe I am comfortable. Let me make it more difficult for you. So over here, let's suppose I want to define one other context API. And one other very important point before I do that right now you can see I defined a context data point in the app.js and directly accessed in comp3. Would it have been possible in props? Of course not. It would have not been possible in props. So now I can completely understand that we have resolved our problem, which we actually were trying to resolve. Am I clear? Am I clear? Am I clear? Give me a quick confirmation in the chat. Have we done this? Perfectly fine. I hope that makes sense. Now, moving a little bit forward. Now the question is, sir, let's create one other component. And I need a little bit of help from your side. And I don't know why students are not typing anything in the chat. I hope I'm audible. Please give me a confirmation whether we understood the basic example of context API. Give me a confirmation quickly. In the meantime, let me create another context API. Let's say another context that I'm going to create is last name. And over here, I'm simply going to pass create context like this. I won't pass a default value. Third thing is I will export it. So let me export last name as well. Second step is that I am going to put a provider. Now, how do we use a provider if multiple contexts are there? We simply use same way. So I will simply go last name dot provider, and to this provider I will simply wrap it like this. Now if you want component 1 to take part in the last name provider as well, wrap your compo 1 over here. So wrap it over here like this. Okay, I hope that makes sense. And to this I will pass the value like this, and over here I'm simply going to pass Rashid. Trust me, I am writing my consumer like this after a long time, after 8 to 9 months at least. Okay, so that's why even if there's a problem in syntax, please pardon me with respect to that. Okay, now see, what I've done is I have defined two context APIs at this point of time, and I've given compo1 access of both of the contexts that I have created. I've provided both and exported them as well. So now I can access it in comp1, comp2, comp3. I can access it anywhere in this branch. And it is very important for me to now import the context API. So last name is import. Now, how do I access it? Will I pass directly like this? No, we cannot. We cannot do that. So what can we do? Maybe I might be wrong. So what I can do is I can simply go here, and inside this I have to pass inside the first callback function second consumer. Okay. So someone do a quick Google search as well and see how do we do this. But meanwhile, let's make it work. So I will remove this h1 here, and over here what I will do is I will go here, and in this case I will pass my last name dot consumer. Okay, and in this last name dot consumer, I again, since it is a consumer, so I have to pass another callback function. Function. I don't know why I say callback functions always. And it receives an argument. Let's suppose I will give it L name as an argument name, and over here I will pass an h1 tag maybe, and in this case I will say my first name is, what's my first name? My first name is F name, and then and my last name is, let's say, L name, and let's hope whether it works or not. So you can see now how things are, although doesn't matter whether it works or not, but you are able to get an idea. Like if I start using my context and consume the context values like this, it's a mess, and we cannot deal with this like this. So you can clearly see it says my name is Adfar and my last name is Rashid. As I said, there's one very important very important point to take out of this. Number one, trust me, I am using this syntax after a long time. So if you think that you are not able to remember syntaxes, the only reason behind that is you have not practiced enough. I know that when I go to consumer, at least my fingers will run automatically. So practice as much as you can. Remember these things. ये automatically याद हो जाती है जब आप practice करते हो. And automatically things are going to work. But if you're not going to practice enough, then in that case it will create a problem. Okay, now let's move forward. Now, of course, this is a mess that we would not actually want. Why would we want to create this? It is kind of creating a callback hell. Now think about if there are 4 consumers that I have to consume here. Now, how big of a mess it's going to be? It's going to be a very big of a mess. That's why to this we are going to say Tata bye-bye. We are going to say, hey, I don't need this. So I'm going to comment it. So what do? Let me remove this as well, and I'm going to go and I'm going to use a hook. And that hook is called use context hook, which is, I'm going to say over here, let's say I'm going to say constant A is equals to, and in this case, I will pass simply use context. Now in this use context, I will simply pass the context name, which is first name. So I have simply said constant A is equals to use context first name. So what is use context? Let's see what it is. So I will simply go say console.log A, and let's go in the output. So if I go here and let me go inside the console to check what use context returns, we can clearly see it returns over there. Let's refresh the page. So over there, what does it return? What does it return? It returns the value of that provider. So use context hook that I actually have over here, it directly returns what you put in front of that value. So that this value. If you put object over it will return that object. If you put array over it will return that array. If you put anything, it's going to return that only. As of now, I'm putting string, so it's returning string. So we directly got that in an A. So that's why I'm going to go here, give it a better name, F name, and I'm going to go remove this because I don't need this. So let me say Control C, Control V. This is going to be my L name. And over here, I will pass another context to it as an argument, which is going to be my last name. And now I can simply go and let me copy this and let me simply go here and paste it. Some straightforward answer. Straightforward answer of consuming a proper context. So we simply use a hook called as use context hook. That's why it's asked in the interviews as well. Hey, explain what use context hook is and give me an example. Okay, I hope this makes sense. So now let's go to the output and we can clearly see I am at first. Now tell me, why would we even use consumers? But there were people who used to use context API in terms of consumers only. And I am one of them. Okay, so understand this, and I hope I have at least made things very easy right now related to context API. But of course, there's a broader perspective of context API. This is just an understanding. No one asks consumers nowadays because they themselves don't know what it exists. Most of them are bad, so no one will ask this. Okay, but this should be this was a quick idea of giving you what consumers are only for one reason, which is that you will understand the ahmiyat of use context hook. That's it, nothing else. Otherwise, I would have myself not shown you what consumers are. Okay, I hope this makes sense. Moving a little bit forward. Now the question is that at this point of time, the context which I have created a context API, put a value Adfar in front of it, put a value Rashid in front of it. I could have directly done this, created a variable, exported, imported there. So there's nothing new in it, but no. This was just to give an idea how flow works. This was not a real example of context API. It was just to give an idea like how flow works in a context API. And let's talk about a good example here. First of all, context API is not limited to strings only. You can transfer whatever you want. Functions, objects, states, whatever, from one component to another component. But also to the branch that we have here. But you tell me, do I have any component inside my React which I can put as a children to the context provider that will give the access of the entire context to the whole web application? Do we have any such component inside React? Anyone? Yes, we have app.js, right? So suppose from comp1 I want to transfer data to comp3 using context. Then how can we do that? Define a context there, make comp3 branch or any parent of comp3 children of it and transfer it. Exactly same way. Is it good to provide API data? What do we mean by that? API data. Give me an example. Okay, let's go here and let's understand how we would create context API in real web application. Let's suppose we are trying to create anything, counter, let's suppose. Who cares? Theme changer, or maybe a bigger web application, right? What we will do is we will always have a context folder inside our React web application. We call it providers or we call it context, whatever. So since there's a context already, so inside the same, I'm going to create the provider of it. Let's suppose I want to create counter context. So I will simply go create a counter. I will create a component for the context API. Remember that. So counter provider.js. Okay, so which means I'm treating it as a component. So until now, I directly created context here in the app.js. We usually don't do that. We 100% times don't do that. We simply dedicate a separate component for that context. Done. So it's going to be a component like this. In this counter provider, it's not going to create any UI. The provider is not there for any kind of user interface. I'm not going to put H1 tags in it. I'm not going to put anything in it. It will simply purely contain the logic related to the context which you want to transfer. Okay. For example, I in this case have a state which is count. So constant count comma set count. Then is equals to, I'm going to call a state called as use state. And initially it's going to be 0. Perfect. After that, I have to send this data to any of the component, multiple components or wherever, but I want to transfer this set count and set count as a context. So the first step is we have to create the context. So let me simply say let my my context is equals to, and on this I'm simply going to use a method called as create context, and initial data will be null. Okay. After that, I will simply go here and I will simply tell it to return what? Return my context. Okay. Dot provider. And like this. Now the question is, what are the values that I'm going to transfer over here? So I'm going to pass value which is going to be at this point of time count comma set count. If you want to expose your setter function to those components as well, in that case transfer count set count. But if you know that we have to understand that I don't want to expose my set count. I know there are limited functionalities to it. I know there's increment and decrement. There's only 2 functions that I'm going to do with count. In that case, why will I transfer set count? I will do one thing. I will define a function. I will say handle count. Handle increment, sorry. Increment. Like this, like this, like this. Like this, like this, like this. And over here, I will simply say set my count to count plus 1. Done. After that, I will go and define one other function like this. That's going to be handle decrement. And in this handle decrement, I will simply go tell it to make the set count as count minus 1. Now, why am I defining it? Because I want to make you understand one very important point. Rohit, I will talk about that in a minute. If you look at this context provider that I have right now, I am transferring count and set count, which means now, since I am transferring set count, I can update it anywhere. I can go in any component, wherever I have the access of context API, I can use set count with count plus 1, count minus 1 anywhere. But that also opens the possibility of later on implementing set count with set count, count plus 2, count plus 3, count plus 4. If you don't want that, if you want to limit that, you should just want that this context API is just there to increment or decrement. Simply define the functionalities here only. Then instead of transferring set count, I am going to transfer handle decrement, comma, I am going to transfer handle increment. Does it make sense why I did this? I hope this makes sense. Like we are able to understand like what these 2 things mean. But right now, since we are learning, so let me transfer set count as well. Okay. So can we say that this component which is counter provider, I have transferred an object as a value, an object which contains 4 key value pairs, that is count colon count, set count colon set count, handle decrement colon handle decrement, handle increment colon handle increment. So I'm transferring object as a data. Now, what is it that I want? I want that the whole web application that I actually have, the whole web application should receive the access of the counter provider, this context. So of course I have to export it. So let me simply go and let me export this. So export what? Export my context. Done. Now you tell me, what is that file where app.js is a children? What is that file where app.js is a children? And please make sure if you are not already subscribed, please subscribe. Is there any component inside my React web application where app.js is treated as a children? Index.js. But how am I going to pass? Now think about this. How am I going to pass app.js children to this? Do we have any way? Think of it. Think about it. My intention is that app.js should be passed over here as a children. So what can I do for that? Do we have any way? I want to transfer app.js, but I know app.js is part of index.js, so I cannot change that location as well. So app.js has to be part of index.js only because index.js is putting this app on the root, on the div whose ID is root. So that's one thing. Second thing is I want to make now the same app children of this. So how can I do that? How can I implement wrap? We can wrap provider in index. So I can simply go here. The one of the answers would be, although I'm expecting few more answers. Come on. Anyone else? Let me rephrase my question if you're not able to understand. I want to make app.js children of counter provider, but making sure it is still in index.js. How can I do that? How can I do that? Anyone? Rohit, Pradnya, Arka. Very good. Very good. Very good. So it means I know that inside this index.js, I can simply call my component, which is counter provider, like this. And in between, I can provide my app component like this. So can we say that right now I am not directly rendering app on the index, but I am making sure this app goes to the counter provider first. But how do we get this app there? We know that this is nothing but a children prop to counter provider. Whenever you call a component, in between you put something, it is treated as children prop to that. So I will simply go here and I will wrap children. So it adds a flexibility to it. So wherever you will call it, whatever component over there you will pass, it will be done. Now it says that there's an issue with the children. What is that? Children is not defined. Okay, of course, this is a props.children. So let me try to rephrase it. Destructure, sorry. So children like this. Done. Simple logic. So now this also adds a flexibility to the component as well. Wherever you will call it, you can now. And you just pass the branch as the children, it will be done. That this is how we will implement context API in even real projects as well. Now after that, I know there are 4 values that I have transferred. So let's go in app.json. Over here, I want to access it, or anywhere else, wherever, does not matter. So the first thing is I'm going to import the context API. So let me import my context from this. After that, over here, I will simply try to use context hook. So I will say let my data is equals to use context like this. So let's try to console the data and see what it will give me. So console.log data. After that, I will go here and I will try to refresh my page. So if I refresh my page, it says cannot read the properties of context. Why is that? Okay, because I have not passed argument, which is my context. So let me pass argument. Yes, Obad. So now let me go here in the inspect and let's go to console. We can clearly see it returns me an object, and that object is those 4 key value properties. Where count is 0, handle increment, set function. So let's go here. Although let's do one thing. Okay, let's do this. So in this h1 tag, now I can simply go and access what data.count, because data is an object. Or instead of this, let me try to destructure all of them. So I will destructure them count, comma, set my count, right? And then I will simply go say comma. Another one is going to be handle increment. So I have destructured handle increment as well. Number 4 is going to be handle decrement. Done. And after that, let me remove this and let's go here and let me remove this as well. Done. And finally, over here, if I go to my output, you can clearly see it's display 0, which means I have accessed the count, right? And also, not only that, I can go here, I can simply create button. And on this button, I will simply say plus. And now I will simply go say on click. Now, when I say on click over here, on this, I will simply call my handle decrement, or although let's say minus. And when I say minus, it's a function that I'm importing. So of course, when I click on this, it should decrease it by -1. So it's also working. So similarly, Control C, Control V, I will go and say handle increment now. So when I say handle increment, I will simply go say plus or whatever. So now if I go here, if I click on this, you can see it's pulsing as well. Also, we can use set count properly as well. However we want to use set count, we can do that. Now, one very important point, and that will be the last point of today's class, and then we will close our session. Let's suppose there's this compo 1 over here. I want to use it. I want to consume the context. Can I consume it? Of course, but I have to make it part of app.js. So let me go here and let me call my compo1.js like this. Done. And if I try to go to the output, there's an error that it is giving me, which is first name is not present. Why is first name not present? Of course, because it makes a connection with comp3. So let me go to comp1 and let me remove this branch. So let me remove these two both components. Done. Now after that, if I go, is component displayed? Yes, it is displayed. Perfect. Now I want to import and use that context. So import, which is my context over here, and I want to implement the count here. Count only. I don't want anything else. So let my count over here is equals to use the context API, use the context hook, and to this use context, I will pass my context. And over here, I will pass I am comp1 and pass, let's suppose, count. Now the question that I want to ask over is, and I'm expecting few answers. If I refresh my page and if I click on this, will change happen in both or not? Both components. Will change happen in both components or not? So that's what even the meaning of data transfer to multiple components is. That data point is same and it's being accessed in multiple places. Data point is same, it's being accessed in multiple places. So when I make a change over here, even if it is accessed in 10 components, the variable data count in this case, which is actually UI representation, it's going to be same everywhere. And that's something that's very important. Okay. I hope this makes sense. I hope you have understood the concept of context API as well. Now, as I said, and trust me, this is what context API is. But yes, we are going to implement context API 10, 20 times at least when we will work with modern web applications. A lot of times. But I need a quick confirmation from all the 31 students whether we understood context API or not, and whether we will be able to create or not. Remember that whenever we talk about context API, we will create separate file of it. Make it a component, define contexts in it. And then later on, I will put it in that branch wherever I want to give the access of this context to that branch. I will import it. So if we don't want to change in that size, we don't have a way. We, as a value, we are going to implement it. Let me see if there's any way, Rajeshri. If there's any way, I will let you know. Okay, na? At this point of time, I don't have answer for that, honestly. Okay. Okay. Moving a little bit forward. To all students who are right now joining, so that they can, okay, so attendance is done from the website only now. So I hope that students who were in the class from the very beginning and they have been part of this class for the entire 2 hours, you have joined the class from what is this called, the website only, which is variable verse. So your attendance is done. And guys, give me a quick confirmation. Is attendance being reflected in your student dashboard? Small dashboard there. Is it being reflected there? I think it should be reflected there instantly. Right? Perfect. If it is, great. So with this, we have completed, not completed because we are going to see context API as well, but from the conceptual perspective, we have completed context API. Now, one thing, one present, one absent, because last class I have to remove that. Yes, because there were some issues, so I have to remove that. Don't worry about it. One very important point is that the content that we are sharing here it is one of the, I would say, I'm giving my best, okay, here to give you this content on multiple concepts. There are things that I'm pretty much sure you even do not even know that they exist. Then no one talks about them, okay? And this batch even has costed me something as well. I gave an interview someplace and I was looking for that job from last 5 to 6 months. I qualified 4 to 5 round of interviews, and then they found out that I'm already taking a batch somewhere on YouTube free of cost, and the level of content is very deep. So they rejected me after that. After giving 4 interviews, so they rejected me because of this batch. Okay. So definitely there is a lot of things that I am trying to do for this batch, but I'm not receiving something in return on the same time as well. So the only thing that I need is your dedication, your hard work, which you guys are not doing. Reason being, when I launched the assignment, there were only 19 assignments that have 19 people that have submitted the assignment, right? So that's not how it should go. So if I'm launching an assignment, give your best. Doesn't matter whether the assignment is complete or not. Submit your code. Okay, because they rejected me because if you look at this whole uh, idea or agenda behind this course is that I want to make this kind of content free, and they are trying to sell the same content, right? So that's something they were not able to digest, and they said no, we cannot we will onboard you. Although I completed all of the interviews, technical and all of those things, but who cares, right? Because I already have a job, and I don't care about that. So that's something that I am happy about as well. But yes, please and please, I need something in return. Number one, once the class ends, please make sure you put a valuable comment. Share this series with the rest of the students, because there's no growth that I'm seeing in this YouTube channel, right? And that's something that we want, right? And like this video, comment after the class is done, and also please and please give your best. Access the assignment, join the classroom, and submit the assignment. There are only 19 students who have submitted the last one, which is absolutely not acceptable. Okay, so please do that. I hope you have enjoyed the entire session. Let's meet in the next class, that is tomorrow 10 a.m. And tomorrow we are going to complete the assignment first of all, and another one is we are going to discuss some other very important concepts like use reducer and some other things as well. Okay, perfect. So all of the students who are asking for address link, and as I said, address is already captured from the website. So website link is variableverse.com. Variableverse.com. Sir, my question, your question, if I data and context API so that the data is shareable to all comers, is it? It is good practice if of course, you will create context API only in that manner when your agenda is to share the data, right? For example, let me give a simple example over here, Rohit, to make you understand this quickly. I have a variable verse website, right? Right now, user is not logged in, right? So if I go to home is properly accessible. But if I go to MERN, it says sign in. If I go to student, it says sign in. If I go to any other resource, it says sign in. So somehow from the parent, from the top view of this web application, I have to share the data, whether user is logged in or not. So in that case, it becomes very mandatory for me. And that's what I have done. I have used context API for the same to make sure that I've given the user who is signed in as a data point to the whole web application. And if it is there, then it is going to work. Okay. Sir, we have to join it from the website so that it will mark the assignment. Yes. Join only from the website, the link, then address will be marked. I will add that, Govind. Okay. Perfect. Thank you so much, guys. I hope you have enjoyed this session. See you in the next class, which is on tomorrow, I guess. Tomorrow, 10 a.m. Okay. Thank you so much, guys. Bye, everyone. Have a great day ahead. Thank you so much. Bye.